and it connected us. I went through all of these things. Well, you look at your marriage or your divorce, and well, that brought me Katie, Gina, and Raquel, and a hell of a lot of good years that I had in the marriage for a period of time. So you're right.
Right.
It's a mind shift.
Well, I tell you, one of the biggest influential things, and this man was so important in my life after the fact, so much. I told you before that I get the opportunity to go to certain places and get to speak and whatnot.
Yeah.
One of them is a detox facility, and I had just talked about this Saturday night. There was a gentleman that worked there, and he looked like Morgan Freeman. Like, he had the gray hair, like, kind of stuck up a little bit, but his voice, he had this soft voice, and when he talked, you just listened to him.
Yeah.
And he actually volunteered there and worked there, but he was actually there when I was actually a patient there at one time. And when I got the opportunity to get to go there and speak, him and I became very, very good friends. And him and I would go in, and when I would go there, we'd go in his office. We just talk about life, just whatever it may be. Well, this was, he had told me, and this was when I was still in the nursing home, when I was down in the dumps, when I was in my little pity party, and he said, "Hey, Todd," he was like, "We got to talk about something." He goes, "I got a little fight in my life, and I'm going to beat it, but I just wanted to let you know. And he had cancer, and I knew what it was, but he never spoke of it again. This was in July of 17. And 2 weeks before Christmas, I'm doing my thing. I'm bebopping in. I'm still bouncing in and out of these moods, and things are going on in my life. And like I said, I was still in the nursing home. And I go in, and he says, "Todd, can I speak to you for a minute?" Now, this is a man that served in the United States Marines. He served our country in Vietnam. He was in recovery for over 30 years. He retired from an amazing job. He raised just some of the 4 beautiful children, and volunteered doing this to help others. 2 weeks before Christmas, he comes up to me and says, "We lost a fight. I don't think I'm going to make it till Christmas." Now, he's telling me this like it's, "Hey,
I'm gonna go
your
to the
newspaper
store."
didn't get delivered today." Yeah. He looked just as cool as the other side of the pillow. You know why? Because he was okay with everything that he had done in his life. And I'm standing there, a hot mess. My friend is telling me that he's not going to make it till Christmas. And it made me question everything. What kind of human being would you be if you knew exactly how much time you had left?
Right.
And it made me change. And it was one of these things, because I said, and I'm standing there, I'm like, "What are you doing here?" I'm all upset.
Yeah.
He goes, "Todd, I've got to spend all this time with my family. I'm going to be with my family after work. But if I can walk this earth one more day and hopefully give someone the gift that you and I have of recovery, that's what I'm going to do." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." I mean, he made me, I thought I was doing good. I thought I was getting better. I mean, he made me I went through my phone and was like deleting dirty memes and jokes. I'm like, "I'm such a horrible person," and he invited me to his funeral. He actually made it till January 10th of 18. And I went to his funeral. It was a full military, honored funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And his children and his wife knew who I was. Never met him until that day.
Wow.
And we sat down and got to talk and tell these stories and this, that, and the other thing. But that's the type of man that I strive to be better than I was yesterday. If I keep thinking about these things and keep having these experiences and these people come into my life, whether it be long periods of time or brief, like some of the friends I have, some of my closest friends, and you would die if you met them because they're such different personalities. One of them, my best friend, is my girlfriend, and then I got Matt. my brother.
Yep.
And then Sarah, she's just this outside entity, but she's one of the most important people in my life. And then I got my little buddy Frankie. Her and I have known each other since we both came into recovery about the same time. And she's this little teeny tiny 5 foot tall Italian that is just as ornery as all get out. And I have all these different personalities and these different entities in my life that I need. They call me on my crap. They don't put up with the fake facade because, I can walk around huff and puff. I'm 6 foot, 230 pounds, and I can put on a mean face and
right.
And they're not buying. They're not buying it. They're like a little kid. They're like, you don't scare me. They're something, and they're some of the most important people that were put in my life, amongst others. Yeah. There are many others, but those are the people closest to me, and I actually get the honor of. And Matt, because Matt hates it. My brother Matt's in recovery now, and he will be in recovery actually for 2 years on May 11th. But he is what they call chairing a meeting, which he takes and he picks a speaker out for the meeting to speak at a meeting to help people in recovery. Matthew hates public speaking. He loathes it. He won't do it. Like he'll go to any lengths to say no.
Yeah.
And but there's a gentleman that is at our thing that we go to, and he has been in recovery for 49 years, and so are his 4 other brothers. They have a combined recovery thing of like 5,000 years,
Wow.
all of them. And if you met him, they are the sweetest old men. Tom just turned 83, and he will come up and greet even me with a kiss on the cheek and a big hug and say, "God bless you, I love you." But he's got Matt sucker because he's like both my grandpas.
Yeah.
He's got that sweet, but that respect. So I get the honor and privilege of introducing not only my brother, but he's having my little buddy Frankie speak for him this Saturday, and I'm super duper excited about it. And it's just these things we get to do as a part of time.
Well, you know what,
we wasted
Todd,
all this time in the past.
Well, and the thing is that I'm getting from this, and you're talking about all these different folks in your life and the different roles that they play, and no one is the same. Everybody's got a different personality and characteristic about them, but one common thread is that whether we are, they need recovery. I'm not an alcoholic or an addict in ways, but I must have been addicted to self-inflicted mind wounds, if you will. Whereas, I'm just was in this state of punishment, and I mean, you can, just like you said, you can slip back in, and it's like, oh no, you don't. Whereas I can wake up on the wrong side of the bed or in the wrong mental state. But I don't, it's truly fascinating. I didn't do it alone. Mine was, I have my own little story about Jesus and God. And I pretend like Jesus is my brother and that God is my father and that Jesus stands there with his hand, holding my hand going, "Okay, Dad, she messed up again. And, if you would just forgive her again, Dad, I'm right here. I got her. We're right here. I know she messed up. But I truly, like, that's my little relationship with God. And that I tell people, I pray. I don't know believers. I don't know different types of belief systems. But I pray you better have something that's bigger than you. Because if you don't think on that level, and like you're saying, I look at those folks that are in your life, Todd, as messengers, and that they're put there for a purpose, as you had mentioned. And when you get a relationship, for me, with the written word, And then, like Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Life, and you start reading these books that translate the Bible for you and bring them to real life and everything. Those were those were the tangible items and the people that saved me. The other thing that saved me was picking up the phone. And just like you said, where would you be without those friends? And for me, I had stopped. I was like, oh, what do they want to hear from me? What can I do for them? Not much. I'm already in a bad place. So mentally, I had my friends, but I love how you say you loved them at a distance, because I wasn't in a situation where I didn't want people to know my thoughts. I didn't want them to know what I felt bad about. I didn't want them to know that Bev even had this weak spot. I was like you, Todd. I thought, I'm the one helping everybody. I'm the strength. And the vulnerability that comes to play when you are hit with, oh my God, what am I going to do? And somebody comes to help you and you're like, oh, and your friend calls and you go out with a friend. I like to say live music saved my life last year, because it kind of did. Just being in that synergy with all those people in the same place at the same time. And just listening to live music and people dancing and jumping and singing, and it got me dancing and moving again, Todd. And that physicality of, well, I don't care. It doesn't even matter if I lose weight anymore or not. I'm getting my energy back. I'm getting my brain back. I'm getting my life back, because I was in such a sad place. So, but I was in recovery and refusing, Todd, to go talk to anybody professionally. Absolutely in my head. I went to see my doctor. I started crying sitting in front of her, and she tried to medicate. She wanted to give me some type of medication. And I said, no, I'm not doing that, because I know from my family what that does. And I was like, no. And she goes, well, it'll just be something to take the edge off. And I go, look, here's some hardship in the past 16 months, losing my brothers, losing my sister-in-law, and I said, I deserve to be sad. That's how I felt, Todd. That I had I had the right to be sad, and but you can't stay there. You can't stay there. And I was the only time I wasn't was when I was at work, and then I would come home and do my thing and read, and all my spiritual posts and motivating posts. Those weren't just for other people. Those were for me. And, we opened this up today, Todd, and we'll get ready to close it out here. But we opened it up talking about time. And was that wasted time? I don't know. It was certainly a learning period for me. I don't know. I learned so much. Go ahead.
I don't think any time is wasted time, in a sense of, like I said earlier, you either stand at a crossroad, you either get bitter or you get better.
Yeah.
And it'll become, because we're human beings, it'll get to the point where your pain will become greater than your fear of change. And that's when the growth and the miracle starts to happen with whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be substance abuse. It could be one of the biggest things that people in recovery suffer from is codependency. Fear of being without. And that's why I was talking about these friends that I have now and all these different personalities. It goes back to the animal, the dog, this unconditional love. If I continue to view, that's one of my basically my higher power in a sense is love now. Hate's too much work. I don't have any space in my heart for that anymore. But I look at everything in a loving manner with an unconditional love, like a dog does to whatever.
That's amazing.
It helps me. It keeps me on an even keel. Because you don't know what somebody else has been through. You don't know what heartache they've gone through, or whatever it may be. And to love them in a place where they're at. And don't get me wrong, I fall short a lot in that avenue, and I make mistakes, and I also make judgments, and that is not for me to do.
Yeah, judgment's hard. That puts us in too much of a place where we I'm like you. I can slip into if something can make me mad for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Like that little bit of and it's like really now that's when I feel like I wasted a little bit of energy because I know God gave us anger and hate and all those. We have the but those are